Dr. Scott Gerber is my guest today on Noon Edition. And first of all, thanks for being here, as always, Scott. And today we're going to talk about the wokeness that is going on higher education. And you actually wrote a little verbiage on this. So take us through what we're talking about here.
Well, recently, Ohio Senate Bill 83 was introduced by Senator Serino. And the bill is trying to address what the senator thinks is too much, quote, wokeness or political correctness in higher education with the diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. As your viewers might or might not know, higher ed, and I teach in higher ed, is dominated by the left. And at the moment, there's a real emphasis on racial justice and social justice issues where they want to increase the number of minority faculty and students and the like. And the counter side to that, which the senator is taking, is they're pushing it too far. Part of the bill reminds institutions of higher education that it's illegal to hire people just because they're not white men, for example. But the Senate bill, in my opinion, in the op-ed at least, goes too far in trying to micromanage what faculty can teach. So just to take my own example, I'm not on the left, but nevertheless, in my courses, when we talk about civil rights issues, for example, I think it is important to familiarize the students with critical race theory, which is a theory that argues that the law is dominated and corrupted by white supremacist politics. I might not agree with that, but nevertheless, the students need to hear about it.
So, in your opinion, you're at a smaller school. You're not at an Ohio State or a Michigan. Is this something that we're seeing in every level of secondary schooling? Is this at your level of school?
It's higher ed. Yes, it's at every level. And a more prominent example occurred recently at Stanford's law school. And Stanford's, of course, an elite university. And a very conservative federal judge was given a speech there to the Federalist Society, which is a group of conservative and libertarian law students. And he was shouted down not only by some law students, but also by the associate dean at Stanford Law School for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And the dean of the law school was not pleased with that. And so she has put the associate dean on leave, wrote a 10-page letter to the student body and to the faculty about the importance of viewpoint diversity. And on that point, one troubling thing for me is that these DEI programs are not committed to viewpoint diversity, and higher ed should be mostly committed to viewpoint diversity so students learn that there's more than one way to think about it. But with regard specifically to your point, I'll just read a sentence from the Stanford Law Dean's letter to the Stanford community. Our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion is not going to take the form of having the school administration announce institutional positions on a wide range of current social and political issues, make frequent institutional statements about current news events, or exclude or condemn speakers who hold views on social and political issues with whom some or even many of our community disagree. And I think she's right on point with that. But as I said in the op-ed, I think it's troubling and inappropriate for the government to try to tell colleges and university faculty what they can and cannot teach. Academic freedom is inconsistent with that, and we need, of course, not to make students think like we do, but we have to be able to expose students to more than one way to think about controversial topics.
Well, unfortunately, this is probably something that's not going to go away anytime soon, is it?
Correct.
All right. Well, thank you for your time today. We always appreciate your insights, and we will be back with more right after this.